Hi guys, welcome to another episode of Watch and Roll. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to this channel. What's the worst that can happen? You will simply not gonna miss further content that might potentially interest you. Some days ago I saw a video claiming this Seiko SNE was better than a G-Shock, and so today we will see if the statement is correct. Starting off with the original question and the fundamentals of what's the better watch in a natural, true and absolute way. The characteristics will look into the fundamentals. What makes a better watch is not gonna be history, okay? It's not gonna be anything romantic, neither philosophical. It's gonna be related to efficiency, durability, reliability, accuracy, how capable it is to handle environments, and how much benefit it gives you to your life. Yes, there is factors that makes our opinions relative, but in an absolute way, in a Formula 1 race, the first place is the absolute winner, and there's no telling how the fifth place is better or anything else. There is no telling how some guys prefers the fifth place driver because of some philosophical, novelty or BS reasons, alright? So based on the fundamentals, we can go through this statement and see if it's true that this Seiko SNE is better than a G-Shock or not. First of all, saying the Seiko SNE is better than a G-Shock is a vague statement, simply because which G-Shock? G-Shock is not a model, it's a sub-brand. You know there is $40 G-Shocks and 7,000 G-Shocks. There's cheap G-Shocks and there's very high-end G-Shocks. Of course, in the West, we don't get to see high-end G-Shocks that much because they're mainly Japanese domestic market. So I got my humble G-Shock right here to start with this. This is a low-end G-Shock. Let's see if this SNE is better than this low-end G-Shock. Both watches are trusted to last a lifetime. I have seen Casio F91W still working since 1991. I've seen Casio still working since Casio started to make watches. G-Shocks can also last a lifetime. Both are trustable, reliable, and durable. So what made this guy to say this Seiko is better than a G-Shock? Oh, it's because this tuna is tough. It feels solid. It feels strong. So is it tougher than a G-Shock? Let's start with the movement. The Seiko uses the solar quartz movement caliber V157A with some jewels, while the G-Shock uses the module 3159. And just starting by these, we can understand something. The Seiko movement is not going to be as tougher as the G-Shock module because it's an analog movement. It still has gears and jewels inside. We know that gears are not as shock resistant as the G-Shock module. There is simply not moving parts inside the G-Shock module. Another point is the Seiko hands. Yes, hands. They can get out of place, misaligned, and are subject to G-force. For example, if you get in a jet fighter, the G-force is so strong, analog hands are often not strong enough to withstand the gravitational centrifugal force. Not even a jet fighter, just go to a roller coaster. And guess what? The G-Shock has a watch called Gravity Master that is specially designed to withstand all of this. They have a system that keeps the hands functionally in place no matter what happens. The Seiko simply cannot beat this because it's not trying to do that. It's a diving watch. And this G-Shock not having a handset is tougher. Digital watches are simply tougher, and some G-Shock displays are high-end and low temperature resistant. Okay, let's go to how the watches are cased. The tuna has the quartz movement, and this is a conventional case movement, and then it has this shroud. The shroud and the quartz movement are the only things that make this watch tougher than other analog watches. But guess what? The G-Shock has more properties that makes it tougher. The main thing that makes a G-Shock so tough is that the module is floating inside the watch case, making it never receive the energy of the shock directly into the movement. Then the G-Shock has an outer case made of resin that is softer than the material on the shroud on the Seiko. This resin will absorb impact, and just look at the Seiko shroud. What is the shroud protecting? The size of the watch. But is it protecting the crystal? No, the crystal on the Seiko is exposed. Look at the G-Shock crystal, it's protected by this resin case. So just by that, the statement is already proven false. The Seiko is not better than a G-Shock based on these taking account toughness, which is the whole reason why the G-Shock exists. So if you can't beat the G-Shock on toughness, just don't say a certain watch is better than a G-Shock, period. You could say the watch is better than a G-Shock on size, okay? This other watch is better than a G-Shock on wearability, alright. On refinement, on anything in particular, yes. But if you're gonna say a watch is better than a G-Shock, you have to address toughness. And if it's not tougher than a G-Shock, then it's not better than a G-Shock, because that's the main thing of the G-Shock. So both watches are solar. They are even on that. but the G-Shock is more accurate since it receives the atomic signal and auto-calibrates. Can the Seiko do that? No. The Seiko has amazing lume, but if it's not charged, it's not visible. And guess what? The G-Shock always lights up. The Seiko has a date complication, and guess what? Depending on whether a month is 30 or 31 days, or whatever, the Seiko date will display the wrong date. Versus the G-Shock, which displays always the correct date, since it's a perpetual calendar, plus the month, plus the day, plus the week, plus it has a power reserve indicator, plus it indicates whether it's PM or AM, plus it has a second time zone, plus 5 alarms, plus a stopwatch up to 24 hours, and timer. Does the Seiko has that? No. Both of them are 200 meters water resistant. The G-Shock has double seals on the buttons, but the Seiko has no buttons, a screw-down crown, screw-down case back, which makes the Seiko a lot more capable of water resistant. Yes, but why is this? Because this Seiko is a professional ISO diver, and this G-Shock is not trying to be a diver. And this Seiko is not trying to be as tough as the G-Shock neither. They are doing different things. One is not better than the other one. And certainly this Seiko is not better than this G-Shock. And this is only talking about this low-end G-Shock. Put this Seiko in front of a $6,000 G-Shock and this Seiko will look so small. There is the Frogman, which is also an ISO certified and is a diving computer at the same time. So can Seiko do that? No. So even as capable diving watches, this Seiko can't beat another G-Shock professional diving watch as a diving to diving watch. The G-Shock is in another level technologically. So if it's not all these reasons, then what makes somebody to say that Seiko is better than a G-Shock? Oh, it's because he likes the analog watches more. Oh, it's because the Seiko Tuna wears much better than most G-Shocks. Yeah, that's true. If it wears much better than the G-Shock, then he can choose the Seiko and it's a valid point. But it's not valid to say that the Seiko is better than the G-Shock. I'm sorry to say this, guys, but these reasons are pretty, let's just say, really not good reasons to say this Seiko is better than the G-Shock. Yeah, better than even high-end G-Shocks that are GPS atomic hybrid with carbon monocoque cases, with carbon fiber bands that are stronger than any Seiko. Those high-end G-Shocks with carbon fiber shafts on the lugs that can carry a lot more load than a Seiko fat spring bars. Those G-Shocks that have auto hand alignment, those G-Shocks that are handcrafted at the Grand Seiko factory, those that have hammering hardening, making the case insanely scratch resistant, the list goes on and on. So what do you think? Let me know in the comments below whether you think the statement of the Seiko is better than a G-Shock is true statement or a false statement. Do you think it would be a better idea to say, I like this Seiko more than a G-Shock? Yes? Well, we all have individual reasons and different inclinations, but at the same time, we can't say that in a F1 race, the fifth driver beats the first driver. I think at some point, there is a certain amount of absolute truth. In my opinion, a common G-Shock is not better than this Seiko. This Seiko is better at diving, which is what it was created for. But neither this Seiko is better than a G-Shock. And while we can arguably say that the Frogman is a more capable diver than this Seiko, I would choose this Seiko because guess what? I have small wrists and the G-Shock is too big for me. So I will pick the Seiko Tuna not because it's better, but because it adjusts to my personal priorities. Let me know what you think in the comments below. I'll catch you in the next one.